All right, guys, welcome back to the Guest List podcast. I'm very excited for this conversation. I've been waiting for this conversation actually since I started the podcast. I have Mr. Alex Lee, who is the co-founder of FoodieFit. I know a lot of the listeners eat with FoodieFit, and a lot of people are very familiar, and they've had a lot of success over their recent 3-year anniversary. So congratulations, and thank you for coming on to the show, man.
Technically 4, but FoodieFit's been 3 years. So it took me about a year to get the brand where I wanted it to be and to have the business model represent the brand of what it is. So, it took me about a year. So when we opened up the actual storefront in Green Valley, that is what we call our first anniversary.
Okay, yeah. The trials and tribulations of setting up a business is tough. The legal framework and going back and forth with the business office, I've gone through that a few times.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Plus some. Nightmare plus some. And it's still getting, it doesn't get easier. It just gets more challenging. The workload doesn't stop. I thought if I got more employees, I would be able to work less. It's not true.
Have you branched into an area where you guys have like a lawyer or a personal attorney that helps you guys with the paperwork process?
We do have an attorney with us right now. We haven't really gotten to the point of needing like a corporate attorney because we're still local. So I think we're able to diffuse the issue before it gets to the point of needing legal representation, because we do really care about our food and our processes. Tip top, honestly. It's my business partner, Andrew, is super anal with safety and stuff like that. So, our new kitchen that's opening up in about 3 weeks they're going to be wearing lab coats, all that stuff. So it's going to be super exciting. I'm excited to start actually cranking out at the capacity that I want, because I'm still kind of hindered in my capabilities to sell and market because we're kind of maxed out right now.
Yeah, you guys have 2 stores, correct? Your Green Valley Summerlin?
Yeah, Green Valley and Summerlin, and then the kitchen comes out. The kitchen is cooked out of Green Valley, and right now, because of how strong volume is, it's being the food is being made 24 hours a day. So even though it's open 8 to 8, we're cooking your food around the clock.
Yeah, it's. I know one of your quotes on here is "fresh, never frozen."
Yep, fresh, never frozen. That was my whole goal, and that was definitely something I really wanted to emphasize with our consumers who didn't know who I was. It's easy in the beginning. All my industry friends were eating with us. They trusted me, but outside of them, if they didn't trust me, it looks like frozen food. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure we cooked it as fresh as possible and then blast chilled it. So that's the real difference, I feel like, between us and other companies, is that we cook fresh and then we chill it immediately. And so it gets down to the temperature like 40 degrees, and then we portion everything out, and then it goes out straight to you. So even though you order on Monday for a Thursday delivery, we won't cook it till the night before.
Smart. The meal prep industry, it seems like it's been around for a long time, ever since the age of, I guess, bodybuilding became really popular. Right. What is that, back in the 60s and 70s, really? Right. But before you guys, I'd never seen an actual meal prep company come out and be able to scale that outright. Right. Why do you think that is, that you guys were able to come in and succeed, and why nobody else had really gone down that path before?
Well, the first part's really easy. It's barrier of entry. So a lot of people will cook from home. They know how to cook. They understand nutrition. They'll cook for their friends. They charge $5-6 a meal. But I really wanted to grow the brand, and what I said in the beginning is I wanted to make meal prep sexy, and I wanted people to, when they're holding the meal, they already know it's FoodieFit. And then my next goal was, instead of saying I'm going to eat my meal prep, I want to eat my FoodieFit, which people are already kind of doing now. They're like, oh, no, I'm having FoodieFit for lunch. And I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal, and really to focus on taste. I think a lot of people focus so much on nutrition, but the food's dog shit. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, please. Freedom of expression. Yeah. I use it for emphasis.
Yeah, the food's terrible. So, I was trying other meal prep companies when I get off work at Omnia at 5 in the morning, and then I'd force myself to eat at Tommy Rockers when I was exhausted and paying $14-15 for a burger plus tip and then going home. I'm like, this is not healthy, and neither do I feel good. but I'm too lazy to cook right now. I wish I had a solution for that. And then that was kind of when I started, my business partner and I, or my best friend and I, Andrew, started thinking about starting a business where we could almost be faster than fast food, which is already have it in your fridge, heat it up in the microwave, eat it, wash your fork, go to bed.
Yeah, it is actually much faster. I actually made a joke on Twitter the other day. I drove by an In-N-Out, and there was like 30 cars deep in the fast food line. And I was like, this is neither a drive-through, this is like a drive-wait, and it's not fast food, it's wait food.
Yeah, it is wait food. And I don't get it sometimes. I'm like, wow, people really, really love it. But, instead of hating on those type of brands, I always kind of study them. And I think it's really the service and the consistency of what they do. They really focus on the fresh side of things, and it's like really turn and burn. It's always consistent. You get the right burger every time. I think a lot of other franchises have issues where, you go to one Burger King and like the burger's kind of, the patty's kind of like lukewarm, or it's not what you wanted it to be. I feel like In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A do a really good job where it's like you get exactly what you order every single time. So I think that's something I really learned from them. And I was like, they really shrunk their menu and really optimize their performance as far as, just making one thing as opposed to 30.
Yeah, simplicity is something that's coming back in style, as you 100%. See. Like if I always use Netflix as an example, and I'm about to get off Netflix because I feel like that there's just so much variety and so many options that it takes the quality away from the real key points. And like you said, In-N-Out, they've been a 3-option style restaurant since its inception. Chick-fil-A is the same.
Right.
And I know that you guys are about the same, right? What are you guys' options?
We actually had 35 to 40 items. So every 2 weeks, we would have 3 items in and 3 items out. My thought process behind that was if we make a burger, it'll never taste better than In-N-Out's because we have your health in mind as well. Mm-hmm. But if you were to eat In-N-Out, let's say, like your friend Jared, 4 to 6 times, 2 to 3 times a day, you're still going to get sick of In-N-Out. So for us, we actually have a higher retention level with the customers. So they're eating at least a couple meals with us a day. So my goal was like, well, how do I continue to keep them and make them happy? And A, it's good service, B is convenience, and then C is variety. So every 2 weeks I'll change up something and definitely make it nostalgic. So it's not just something like, oh, it's a white fish with lemon and broccoli. It'll be something really cool like a lasagna. They're like, oh man, I've been craving a lasagna during my health journey and whatnot. So I just really wanted to make the health journey easy for people through nutrition, because the rest of it's kind of really up to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. It's so on retrospect, like some of the fast food chains, they have 3 options, or you're like In-N-Out and you have different things of like a burger, fish, all these different, let's say fatty foods. But you guys, it's more consistent because it's fit. So that's the style. And then you change the foods because people get burnt out on the same things, and because they are consistent customers. Right. Like I'm gonna use Jared as for example. Yeah. Again. He buys, what is it? Like some of your customers buy 7 to 20 meals per week.
Yeah. Yeah. It really depends. So I kind of did a more grocery style format where I was looking at other meal prep companies, and they were kind of forcing you to buy 15 to 20 meals as a package. But to me, that, and everyone was used to it in Vegas, you buy 10 or you buy 20 and they cut you a deal. I'm like, well, I can't really give you a deal, but you can buy as little or as many as you want. You can come in today and buy a meal, and you can come in tomorrow and buy 50 meals. It's really up to you. We kind of work on your schedule, and people are almost not used to it. But the fact of the matter is that it's better. So once they do it, everything else seems shitty. Like, it's like, oh man, I can only get Mondays and Thursdays over there, as opposed to here, I can go in on Monday, just get a breakfast. Tuesday, you can kind of piece out your day. Nobody is so organized in a sense where they can like plan out their every single meal for the rest of the week. Everyone's kind of flying at the seat of the pants, even though it is COVID. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of where we saw the rise of it when phase 2 came out. People are begging for some kind of structure and regularity.
Yeah, just because it's everyone's routine and habits has been completely shattered,
Right.
and a lot of people are now rebuilding their lives. That's something that I've been doing. That's something that I've seen reflected towards a lot of people in the city. A lot of people reevaluating what if they want to go back, to work on the strip and be in that kind of environment, build something new.
Right.
I think you guys have been set pretty well for COVID because, like you said, people need structure, people want fit, and that you guys also deliver from what I've seen through the vans, correct?
Yeah, so we deliver every day. So if you order by 6 p.m., you'll get a delivery between 4 and 9 p.m. the next day, which is awesome. So you can have it reoccur, or you can just go week by week, however you want, because if you order by today, you get it by tomorrow. So that was kind of like our whole strategy from the get-go, because I was losing my ass the first year doing it, but I was like, but it makes sense because it's, we're doing everything for the customer. So, in the beginning it was just terrible. Like, I was using my own car, you know what I mean? We had no AC in our first kitchen. It was like 300 square feet. And then I was just trying to get the meals out to everybody, you know what I mean? So, from there though, once people are able to be like, oh, I can order Monday and then get it by Tuesday, like it's much easier for a decision making for the consumer than to be like, oh, I have to wait till Thursday because on Tuesday they might be thinking about something else.
It's true. So you guys are pretty much like FoodieFit Prime.
Yeah, 100%.
Next day delivery.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact of the matter is like the barrier of entry is low as far as like you can just cook from home and then you can deliver to your friends. But once you want to scale, it gets expensive. And we've scaled 4 times now. So if you want to get to kind of our level, it's going to take a huge investment. So my goal was just to really increase the gap between my competition. So when they see that, they're like, okay, well then we have to almost not take any money out for the next 5 years just to kind of keep up with them, or they can just stay small. They can feed their 10, 20 customers and, make a little bit of money on top, but you're also cooking everything as opposed to us. We have 10,000 clients. So it's really about scalability. Yeah, we really wanted to scale it, and I think that's really the key attributes of really being an entrepreneur, right? Not just being self-motivated, but to be able to motivate myself, my business partners, and 75 employees.
You said that you scaled four times. When you took this scaling measure, was it on your guys' own accord and your own capital? Did you guys take any sort of outside investors, or did you have like a kind of a luck opportunity where some sort of magical angel investor kind of fell into your lap?
No, my best friend was the AGM of Intrigue. I was at Omnia, and we're both actually eating meal prep. And I landed on a meal prep company called FoodieFit Meals, and I was like, this is the best food by far, hands down. And then Andrew goes, all right, well, if he has his own kitchen, we might have an opportunity to invest with him. So when I went up to him, because I was already his customer, I called him. He's like, yeah, I do have my own kitchen. I was like, can I meet with you? So that was the first time we met with him. It was on Rainbow and Sahara. I still remember it was after I was getting a car wash. I just drove straight there just to kind of see like where my food was being made. And it was a shithole. I mean, he was using those little like foldable benches as like his computer station, kind of just like super makeshift. And then he had a small kitchen with 2 workers. And then he probably had like maybe 5 or 6 tickets up. And I was like, okay, well, I know I'm your customer. He's like, almost like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? I was like, you've been around for around 2-3 years. I was like, what do you value your company at? And he gave us a number, a very low number. And I basically convinced him. I was like, well, if my business partner and I come in, let's be equal partners and I'll scale it. And my goal was to double his business in a year. And we almost tripled in a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So then the next year, we basically ran out of capacity. We saved all our money. We didn't take a paycheck for a year. So we used our own money to get the Green Valley location. But the problem with that is that, so the small kitchen was 300 square feet. We were able to cook 400 or 500 meals a day, but like that's like pushing it. And then now this new one that we're currently in right now can do about 3,500 meals a day.
Yeah, that's cranking numbers.
Yeah, but we also had to go through another remodel last year. So we kind of pieced everything together because we didn't have any angel investors. I couldn't shoot for the stars and then now just be stuck with this humongous kitchen and then just be burning through cash flow, burning through cash. and that just wasn't really realistic. So I guess in business it's called bootstrapping, but this year we did take a loan to get our new kitchen because we've already passed our threshold goal 3 times. So this new kitchen, so we have a 1,000 square foot kitchen now. This new kitchen's 6,000 square feet, and I'll be able to crank out 15,000 meals a day.
Wow! Congratulations! That's
thank you.
An amazing move.
Yeah.
And I guess during the pandemic, it's the best time to take a loan out right now too, while interest rates are fairly low.
Right, but it was actually almost one of the worst things that happened to us because when COVID's hit, we weren't really on so our delivery, our business model really is 1/3 of the business is Summerlin, 1/3 of the business is Green Valley storefront, and the other third of the business is deliveries. Deliveries jumped 20% maybe, and then scaled back down to 10, but then the storefronts decreased almost 50%, maybe a little bit more than that, 60%. I couldn't really complain because other restaurants are down 95%, 90%. So I was like, what are we going to do? Because I did more of a grocery store model, and luckily COVID isn't something that was a disease that was insanely crazy. People just didn't know about it. Yep. So the first month, people were just like, oh, you have COVID? Like, get the fuck away from me, right? Mm-hmm. So now people are kind of understanding it's more of just a flu. Yes, if you do have some underlying conditions, it can get worse, but it's not as bad anymore. People aren't as afraid to go out, so business started climbing back up again. And people just got sick of, being, the first 3 weeks just playing board games and trying to cook. Yeah,
being pent up.
Yes, and, doing those meal kits and stuff, because in the end, if you don't like to cook, you only did it because you had like a 3-week hobby. It's like going to Hawaii and learning how to hula dance for 3 weeks. Doesn't mean you're going to be a professional hula dancer. So I knew that was going to happen. So I was like, let's just not pivot. Let's just, let's scale down the menu, increase efficiency, and we didn't even have to lay anybody off. So that was kind of like something really awesome that we did as a team. And one other thing too was I knew I was going to lose the industry, which is about 20% of my business, 25% of my business. So then what I did was I reached out to all these local businesses that are just trying to be like, what can we do to help? And I was like, hey, listen, we've been dropping off to hospitals. So if you guys can cover just the food cost and the labor, I don't want to make any money off of it. We'll drop off food and put your logo on it on behalf of you guys, because the first responders are killing it. Police officers are killing it, right? Overtime because of the surge of people being sick. So I almost thought of that as like a replacement for industry. So then now we could basically almost got free exposure, but in a sense, I kept my employees working, and I was able to sell like almost 3,000 meals, through our like thankful local sponsors, like, Findlay Toyota helped out, and, Huntington Nellis Real Estate, they were a part of it as well. And, it gave them great exposure. The nurses were super, super, super grateful. And they were like, oh, I didn't know that this type of business was out there. Mm-hmm. This would be perfect for me, because now instead of working 7 hours, they might work 15. And now they're super hungry, like they barely have time to eat. So that's kind of like a pivot strategy I did during COVID, but I kept the business model the same.
You have a very entrepreneurial mind. I've noticed you're very good at pattern recognition. That's something that I've been trying to improve on since the pandemic, because you have to. That's if you can foresee what's about to happen, right, and like you said, you can make that pivot, then you most of the time you'll see a massive increase in 100%. Sales or brand exposure, or different things like that. So my question is, have you always been entrepreneurial minded like this ever since like you were younger? Or is this something that kind of has transpired since you started FoodieFit?
I think so. I mean, ever since I left college, so I met my business partner, now best friend, after college, and we worked at a bar, and me and him were cleaning up throw up and just, making $10 an hour twice a week. And then I finally got promoted to bartender, but then I was graduating college. I was like, dude, I didn't do all this for a year to clean, throw up, and not be able to bartend. That was kind of like the pinnacle, right? So I stayed after for almost 2 years and grew with that company, because I didn't know how much revenue they were generating. So they were kind of teaching us manager operations. So him and I kind of grew vertically together as managers. And then when in Vegas, and then he was like, him and I went on my birthday to Vegas to party, and then he fell in love with the city. And then when we went back to Santa Barbara, he was like, there's this new club called Surrender opening. I think I'm going to apply. And he got the job. So he just picked up his shit and left. And I was like, oh, damn. I was like, dude, my boy's gone. All right, so I'm going to stay with the company. But I was like, I want to grow too. So I reached out to the owner of the bar, who had a much busier store in the coast, and then like in Hermosa Beach. So I transferred down there and learned from them, because the volume was much, much higher over there. Because Santa Barbara's more like a visitor town, as opposed to like Hermosa and Redondo. Manhattan is a visitor town, but it's got a lot of heavy locals there too.
Okay. So
it's always constantly busy. So I basically worked with them for about 7 years. And as I was opening up another store for them, there was this guy from Texas over there, and he was asking me a bunch of questions and being super nice. I was like, what are you doing out here? He's like, I have this company where we do healthy pre-made meals, and I loved health and nutrition. I was kind of at that point where I was like, what am I doing? After like 7 years of bartending, you're just kind of figuring out, like, is this my place?
Yeah, you definitely get burnt out.
Is this my place?
In the service industry?
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, I'm opening up right up there on PCH. And I was like, I want to come work for you. I love health, and I understand like management and all that stuff, and I understand how to bring people in. I just really wanted to kind of have, in the end, like, go home with a very good conscience, knowing that I helped somebody in the end of the day. So he was like, yeah, but it's $12 an hour, and I was making almost $100,000, bartending after cash and all that stuff. And I took it. I was like, screw it. This is my life. Like, I can't put a price on my happiness. Went over there, and I took that store out of 80 like grab and go storefronts. It was a #1 store in less than a year.
So you had similar experience before FoodieFit then? Yeah.
I did, but they didn't deliver, and they didn't change the menus. And to be honest with you, I felt like the food wasn't up to my standards of what I thought was healthy. And when I knew that I was kind of capped out at where I wanted to be, they wanted me to run 3 stores. I was not really getting compensated for, nor was my gas being taken care of. I decided to leave. And while I was there was a customer, and she says, you give the best customer service, and you're one of the best salesmen, because I don't feel like I'm being sold. Come work for me at a radio station. I was like, okay, let's go. So I left. And then I started working and doing sales for like Amp Radio, K-Rock, and then I started doing radio sales for them. While I was there, I really learned how to like pound the phones, and radio sales is probably the hardest thing you can ever sell, period. You're selling air. And, you're going up to like a window business, like a small local window business, and trying to sell them a $10,000 package to just get out of here. So, I was actually, I had a lot of pending billing, but, I was definitely paving my way as a account executive for radio. But during that time, my father got sick, and I didn't have the best relationship with him. So I chose to, when he hit stage 4, I decided to leave my career. I was like, I'm not really like killing it here in radio yet, but at the same time, my dad needs me, and I'm the only child, and him and I didn't have necessarily the best relationship. So I was like, this is my time to make things right. So I quit my job, and I became his caretaker for about 2 months before he kind of took his last breath. And that was August 10th of 2013. So from there, I was like, kind of like, okay, what do I do now? And my mom lived in Asia, and she's like, come take over my business. So I left, and I flew to Asia, and in Shanghai, and tried to take over business, but I couldn't read Chinese. So it was really hard for me to like even learn anything. And I feel like my mom just wanted companionship as opposed to like kind of groom me to take over the business. And at that time, we had a really big client out there, and we took him to Vegas, and that's when I reconnected with Andrew. He's like, come work for me at Encore Beach Club. And he's like, I was like, okay, well, how much do you guys make there? He's like, I don't know, like 1,000, 1,200. I was like 1,000 and 1,200 a shift. I was like, you guys are crazy. I was like, that's insane. I was like, I'll leave tomorrow. I booked a one-way flight. I still remember I was like a Kia Optima rental car, and I just drove over there, and then and then from there I got transferred to XS, and met my director of marketing at that time. At the time, he was the operations manager, Johnny, and he hired me for my first job. And that's kind of how I got my experience to get into Omnia. But then now Johnny is now my director of marketing. And then Andrew, our first bar we worked at Sharky's, our favorite boss, his name was Goody. Now he's our director of operations.
Oh wow, you're like subtly recruiting while you're going.
I've always been a poacher. Like ever since I helped open restaurants for those guys out in the coast, I've always been a poacher. I'm like, why try to bring people in who are semi-qualified when I see this guy in action and he's going to be more than qualified. So that's kind of how I've always been. And we really had this like really young, like grind through everything mindset, which we had to. But everything kind of came into steps. You know what I mean? Like first we needed a director of ops. We had Johnny come in. But when it got busier, we kind of moved Johnny to marketing because that's where his real specialty was. And that was when I kind of had that light bulb. And I started seeing kind of the team where like, okay, everyone kind of needs a specialty. Because when you first start a business, you got to do everything. You got to do the trash, the dishes, the whatever. But if you don't have a specialty, I can't really groom them to do something more for the business and to acquire skills. Like if I didn't teach them anything, it's at least to show them that like, you know, they have the experience to go somewhere else. But, you know, they chose to stay with me because of our culture. They believe in me. They believe in the growth. They believe in the product. So I think that, so that's kind of like the big roundabout of how I came to who I am. Is I almost handpicked a little bit of my whole life and then put it into this business. Yeah,
you're like subtly stacking skills along the way. Yeah. You're finding the silver linings in every single business that you've done, and even the people along the way to rebuild.
100%. And I was really looking at it, I was like, it wasn't like a step 1 to step 10 goal. I was just kind of being a gypsy, and then now I kind of figured out my place and where I wanted to be. I love the product. I still get excited when new items come out. You know, every week we try new items, and if I'm just excited for the new meals, I mean the customer should too. And I think I built a very good home in Vegas. I mean, I only moved here 6 years ago, so 2 years in the industry and then 4 years with FoodieFit. And I thought, I've created a pretty good network of people that have really helped support me with my vision of this company, and everyone who sees it was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I want to keep growing it in Vegas and actually be at a point where we can really optimize performance with the whole team, because right now the kitchen is kind of people working over each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, you kind of see that at Omnia. Sometimes they'll put 2 bartenders in a well. It's extremely inefficient. It's just that when it's so busy, you kind of have to do it.
You have to put someone somewhere.
Right, so you're putting 2 people at 75% performance capacity just so you can do 150%. What I really want to see is everyone at 100% capacity have their own work desk space for like a year. Last year, before we had a corporate office, everyone was working on my dining room table for a year. We just had cords everywhere. Like, it's just been like, it's just been one of those like really rewarding processes that if you can't, you have to kind of go through it and you kind of have to suck it up. And I think a lot of people are not willing to sacrifice it to kind of see the result, as opposed to going through the process and kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's something that I have personally trialed through my whole life. I had 2 previous businesses before this. I had an antique store, a storefront, and I tried to do a ticket verification app. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it's tough both ways around, but I knew that, Warren Buffett's famous quote where it's like, fail forward, fail often, fail fast.
Yeah.
That you have to go through these steps, these mishaps, and you have to be able to gain these different skills from it, because that's the only way to success. I mean, granted, there are some people who get lucky and they make it on their first shot.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you have to group everything that you've done together and make something like FoodieFit so unique to you and your skills that nobody else can replicate it. And
nobody else can replicate,
And then put your foot on the gas so far that people are just like, man, I can't beat them, so the only choice I could do is join them or become their customer.
100%. And that was kind of the goal. And, I always, when I first started, I guess some tips for people when I first started is always like, aspire to be what you wanted them to be. But the problem is these people were not growing at the rate that I wanted to grow. So I looked up to this meal prep company, and then I outgrew them. Looked up to another meal prep company, I outgrew them. So now we're at this point where we're like, okay, now we're basically the gold standard. But what a lot of people do is they sit there and now they fuck off because now they're on the top, this and that, and this gives other opportunities for other people to rise. So for us, is always like, it's just never enough. Just keep growing, just keep expanding. Because now I'm kind of not only invested in the business, but I am invested in a couple key employees that have been with me since day one. So I do want to make sure they are in the right path, and I set them up for success if and whenever I do want to step away or take a smaller position, because it is a grind. I mean, look at my hair. It's like, it's like half gray now.
It is. So you have it's what I like to call social equity built into these people. So those are your trusted go-to people that, like you said, you want to step away, or if you expand beyond Vegas, those are going to be the people that you're like, hey, I have this big opportunity.
Yeah,
we're doing FoodieFit San Francisco or something like that, and I want you to run the store.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said earlier too, and about how some people, they'll just make it big and fast, but I also see them almost like the lottery winners. For me, after seeing what we've been through, I used to have to go shopping 3 times a day because we literally didn't have the space. So we cook in the morning, or we go shopping in the morning, cook, then I had to go shopping again, bring it back to it, then cook the second, third, then the third. I was like, this is it, right? 95 degree west. We didn't even have AC in our first place, so we were sitting there like 95, 98 degrees. Like, it was like hot. Like, I would just be sweating the whole time. But I was just like, it's gonna be worth it pretty soon. So when COVID hit, my business partner told me this quote, and I've been using it ever since. It's gratitude and perspective, and it's like, can't be worse than when we first started. We're using chairs that we found at the dumpster that had like tape on it, you know what I mean? And then now we're at least sitting in AC. But I believe that during COVID, it's not about success, it's about survival, because if you do survive, success will come.
Yes, survival is actually key in a capitalistic society. The average business, I think, only lasts a few years. If that. So once you get past that breakthrough, you're like, wow, there's only me and one other company that's here. And like you said, now you've become the gold standard. But I like that you said that you are aware that you can settle into this spot and not go beyond. It's kind of like now you're out into the outer space, and there's so many different directions to go, but you don't know what is the right direction. You just know that you have to pick one and run with it, or else Elon Musk and his SpaceX is coming back with rocket number 2 to catch up to you.
That is literally Elon Musk is the only person I kind of compare it to, because if you really think about any other businesses, we're a hybrid between a restaurant and manufacturing company. So a person who manufactures avocados, right? We're kind of like that too, but at the same time, we're also small batch to the point where we have to put everything on the shelf every day. If you think about like Toyota, they are the same way. They just sell cars. They don't actually produce the engines. They outsource it from somewhere else. But only people like Elon, who literally is making it from scratch to product, is really can go through the problems that I'm going through. And I wish I can talk to him, which will be impossible.
That'd be amazing.
But like that one part, some people were like, oh, you have this part. I was like, yeah, but I'm also producing it, and we're having production issues or labor issues, or we're having top line issues. So there's so many pieces, and I'm glad I have my 2 business partners in my life, because I feel like one cooks, one does all the operations, and then I do all the sales and marketing. So we kind of separate the workload, because it never ends, or it's going to be a really flip-floppy business. So, and I see that a lot in a lot of Vegas people. They like to get themselves on like a lot of earned media before their business even starts generating revenue or proof of concept. And I think that's ass backwards. So
it is 100%. That's something that
they want to be on 7 magazine before they can even get their first dollar in sales. I'm like, I'll pass on that.
It's Vegas has been built on superficiality, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's all about the glimmer and the glam, and it's like what you see is what you could get, kind of style. And so people want to put themselves out there, but you have to understand, like you said, proof of concept. When I had the ticket verification app called Chameleon, we built like a base model, and then we went and partnered with a few local companies and did a few test events before we even marketed it, because I was like, I don't want to look like a complete flop, because then you put the expectations so high, and obviously being a founder, your expectations are high. But you don't want everyone else to have these preconceived notions that you're going to the moon immediately.
Oh,
because the faster you rise, the faster you're going to fall.
Honestly, perception is reality. I just had a conversation with my friend, and as you know, I run my own charity with my friend Zach that I grew up with. So it's a GoFundMe. We had a crowd raise because all of our local sponsors dropped out during COVID, which I can't blame them at all. You know, they got to look out and survive for themselves. So I almost didn't even have the heart to pitch them. So I was like, let's just crowdfund it, see what we can do, and then we'll go from there. And we were just joking around. My friend Drew and Michael Sheedy actually donated $2,000, and then my friend Justin was like, "Oh, you created your own charity." And I don't see $1 that you put in, but we actually cut a check because GoFundMe takes a fee, and we donate $8,000. But perception is reality. So I actually took some of the money that we were going to donate and then put the $2,000 to kind of match our group of friends together. But that's just how it is. It's like, perception is reality. It's not really what you do on the back end. It's what people see and how they feel. So that's kind of how I wanted to portray my brand. I didn't want it to be like Alex's meal prep, because then you're going to always be like, go see Alex. I'm like, I'm not going to be the order taker cooking stuff for you. Like, I have always wanted to be on the back end scene and let the brand take over itself, because in the end, I don't want to ideally be attached. I want to do whatever I want, right? As opposed to, some people who always want to be in front of the cameras and stuff. I was like, now you are directly connected with your business. So if you go off and you screw around, or you do something that's, I don't know, if you go protest for Black Lives Matter, and a lot of your customers are very right wing, then you just, that one event just
crippled
just tanked your business.
Base,
correct.
Yeah.
So I definitely like to keep that stuff separate, because I love my business a lot, but I almost feel it's like a separate entity for myself.
Yeah, you're trying to decentralize yourself from the product, essentially.
Correct.
I forget what popular billionaire founder said it, but it's like the best businesses are built, like you said, separated from the business owner. I should be able to remove myself from any time of the business, and should be able to function full-fledged, no mistakes, without me, because the founders and the CEOs, after, like you said, once you become the gold standard, you can't be there in the kitchen working hand in hand.
Right.
You'd love to be with your employees, but you need to be there trying to figure out what's the next move. And that's where it becomes more of cognition, awareness, and ideation within like the top group. And it's sometimes it's hard for people to understand that, or for you to break away from those ideals, because if they are your day one customers, they saw you in the kitchen. They were in that 300 square foot kitchen with you,
100%.
coming in.
Yeah.
And so when you're not there, they're like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Where's Alex?
No, 100%. So now it's like, I'll walk in and they won't even know I'm the owner, which is great, because I get to kind of almost see how they're behaving without like my friend coming in. Your first network of friends that do come in is not, everyone says, oh, that's my core customer, they're all industry. I was like, no, it's because you're a fucking bartender and you told all your bartender friends to come in. Outside of that, if a person did not know your brand, what is your ideal customer? And a lot of businesses can't tell me that. Like, oh, it's for everyone. I'm like, then you're going to fail, because you don't really have an end goal of who you're trying to target. You're just trying to create this business to make money. So then you're kind of like everybody else. You're never going to stand out.
Yeah, I feel like the easy customer base in Vegas, a lot of people try to target the industry, because that's where a lot of wealth is generated for the city. And COVID's kind of exactared that and showed that that's where probably 70 to 80% of the money is. But the hard part is expanding beyond that. And I like that was where your pivot was, to go into the small local businesses. And you weren't afraid to approach them, just like you approached Ninja Foods.
Yeah, Ninja Fit Meals, And now he's my business partner. And I remember I went over to his house, and I think one of his cousins, because his family, his cousin Kai owns District 1, Mordeo, so they're all kind of restaurateurs. And he came up to me, he's like, dude, you're Bo's lottery ticket. This dude has been pretty much eating shit for the last 3 years. He first started off in his parents' house cooking, into a smaller 600 square foot kitchen. And then now moving into a 1,500 square foot kitchen with another 1,500 square foot grab and go. You know what I mean? So now we have our own like top of the line production kitchen. Like literally, I was looking at some of the equipment, because Andrew, my business partner, kind of taking lead on opening the kitchen, and I was looking at this equipment. I'm like, man, this is like buffet stuff, like 40-gallon braziers and stuff. I'm like, damn, we're almost there, and we just got ranked number 340 on Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies.
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
I was pretty amped when I saw that. Like, I was like blown away. Well, top 5,000 fastest growing companies in America, we got 340, and then we got number 5 in Nevada.
Wow. To be placed in those kind of rankings, did that happen out of the blue? Did you guys have to file for some sort of paperwork?
Yeah, you have to file basically your last 3 years financial, and then your last financials for 3 years. And then it has to basically show the difference between the third year and the first year. And then in order to qualify, your first year has to be over $1 million in revenue.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That shows that it's not one of those like pay for place kind of surveys. You can't be
like, oh yeah, I generated $5 and then I made $1,000 next year. I mean, it's gross revenue. So they definitely wanted to focus on companies, but it's a pretty big honor. I was looking at some of the list of people, and I was just like, I was aspiring to be there, and we're pretty much almost there. And the fact of the matter is you have to realize that all of our revenue generated is in one city. So there are other meal prep companies, but they're shipping all across America. So that leads me to believe that our volume is close to them, and they don't have any sort of kind of consumer loyalty. Mm-hmm. So I'll be able to get there soon.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You guys are almost like it's like a multi-purpose kitchen almost that kind of, that makes a bunch of meals. I actually had a gentleman on the show almost way back when I started. He owns The Blind Pig. His name's Peter Klamka. Okay. And he's starting a business concept where he's picked up a few partnerships in various cities. It's called a ghost kitchen. And basically that he noticed during the pandemic that, and even before, that there would be 10 customers in the restaurant, and then there'd be 15 cars outside the restaurant picking up food. So he's taking his kitchen and he's basically making it the name faceless, and then he's going to offer like 4 to 5 different restaurants through this kitchen. So it could be like, oh, go to Alex Lee's hot dog stand this week, and the people provide the food. So that's kind of like the similarity I see with you guys, but you guys are healthy and you guys have built everything inwards too. Like I think you're saying your delivery service is built from the ground up. It's not outsourced to these third party things. I have my own delivery drivers,
5 vans and stuff, because companies like Uber Eats and like Postmates, they are smoking the small businesses. But I think the most important thing that people don't understand is that they're paying for exposure and they're not paying to make money. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people were like, well, I see it all the time in small businesses, like, oh, I have this guy running my social media account, and they're pretty much like handing everything over. Like I hope you do everything for me. Hopefully a business comes in, this and that. And I was like, no, that's not really how it works. You know what I mean? That's supposed to be like a subsidy. But I do get it with the pandemic and stuff like that. But most people don't understand, you wouldn't have been seen if it wasn't for them. So I do kind of see it both ways, and that's kind of why I do delivery in-house.
It's smart.
I can't afford that.
You're prepared for it. Like you said, you saw the pattern recognition that's where everything's trending. Yeah. And now I think with remote working, where everyone's going, that puts you guys even in a better place, because I've been over to a few of my friends' houses that work for different tech companies, and they have these like giant workshops of, you can see my computer over here has 2 screens, but they have like 4 screens, and they're going nonstop, and they don't have time to make food, but if they could pop in something healthy, and now there's such an emphasis on being healthy, even more because COVID attacks underlying diseases. I think that's made a lot of people very health conscious on what is happening.
And studies show that working from home, they're actually working more than they actually are when they're in the office, because you come to the office, it's kind of, you turn your brain on, then you turn it off. But I guess I can see it from both ways, because I'm the business owner, and if I don't see you remote, I almost need to see like a daily, what have you done? Mm-hmm. I'm still paying you, right? So it almost feels like the person's like almost trying to overcompensate and do more work to show that he can work from home. But at the same time, got your kids running around and this and that. So I was like, it's kind of the same thing except for the commute. So if the commute is that bad for you, then yeah, I think working from home is fine. But I like the fact of going to an office and being able to kind of like focus my energy on that, and then once I leave, to be able to kind of turn it off, because it was a real problem the first couple years, because I was working 7 days a week for 13, 14 hours a day, just like dripping sweat. Like, every morning I still remember at like 6 a.m. we would have a group text, and we had 3 employees, and I would get like 2 or 3 call outs. So it'd be like, cool, who's delivering, who's going to do dishes, and who's going to portion, you know what I mean? So it's like, and I was like, oh my God, like I really hope we can get to a point, where it doesn't matter as much anymore. I mean, we still get call outs. We still get about the same amount of call outs, but we do have 75 employees now. So instead of, 8% of our workforce is, called out, it's now, before it was 33%. So it was a huge hit. So
along this, 4-year journey with FoodieFit, have you ever had a capitulation moment? And what I mean by that is like something very drastic happened that you didn't foresee, and it took you guys almost to like rock bottom, and you had to kind of really look inwards and, use your grit that you built to pull yourself out of it, and then
100%.
build forward.
I think that moment really came when we first started the business, because the finances and whatever my business partner now was doing before, because he was doing everything, was kind of ass backwards. His pricing was off. So we were actually losing money on some items. We were underwater on a van, because he thought that when he leased a van that it had unlimited miles, but below it says that you have to pay the difference of the average depreciation.
Oh no.
So we're like 14 grand under there. He also didn't know what HOA taxes were. I mean, he is a second generation American, and he still is my business partner, and I love the guy, but it's just, he didn't understand a lot of these pieces. And Andrew was like, we can't use this van anymore. If we put any more miles, we're basically just keep losing money. And then realizing that with that van, we're losing $900 a week. So I would just be texting everyone. And I had such a shitty office where, like, if someone came in, one of us had to get up and walk to Starbucks. There's no space in there. So I would just literally, I remember with my ex-girlfriend, it was like, I think our first or second year anniversary, I had to leave dinner early because there was a guy who was like, I want to do a consultation. Can you come in an hour? It's for me and my husband, 4 meals each, which is like huge. I just left dinner, and I drove all the way to our house in Southern Highlands, and I did the consultation. I closed them right there just because I was like, I'll take whatever business I can. So that definitely took a lot of grit and stuff. And now, moving forward, because we do have a lot of moving pieces, I've realized why companies are moving a little bit more slowly, because there is so much more moving pieces to the puzzle, right? So instead of me back then, it's like, okay, I'll do it, I'll leave right now, is you have to communicate to the driver, let the driver know, to check out the keys. So there's a lot of pieces there. So that's why I was like, how come these companies are moving so slow? Because these, it's like a ripple effect, So, if we have 5 stores and we just do one launch, it takes a much longer back in the day than for me to just walk next door and just to put like a piece of paper there to say we're doing a sale. So now we have to basically retrain all the front of house, right, to let them know that we're announcing a new product. Then we have to change the TV displays, and then we have to change the website picture. And so we used to do that all ourselves, but it was kind of just more like it was part of my daily duties. And we're kind of learning into kind of growing to a more classic org chart, but at the same time, like really maximizing what we can do with the organization and keeping it small. Because I feel like with these longer org charts back in the day, it was like office space. Like, what do? It was like, you bring the paper from upstairs to downstairs. So definitely everybody kind of has their role in it. And we wanted to keep everything in-house because, like I said before, with this business, I've talked to so many people, and nobody can relate, probably except for Elon, right? So I'm kind of having to think of it, in different ways. Like even e-commerce, like Shopify can't even they can't even cater to a website for us. So we had to do a custom website build out. So that's why our website is a little bit clunky, because it's not like a template like Shopify. So it does everything we want, but sometimes the page doesn't work, or like the pictures come out all funky and stuff. It doesn't really have like that visual sexiness that I would like it to have, but the functionalities are great because I need to check to release the day before. So, Shopify is made for like restaurants, right? You come in, you basically get the ticket, and then the food comes out and then you close it. But this person's like, yeah, I'm paying for it now, but I want my food on Friday. So that check has to release on Thursday.
Oh, I see a lot of complexities within that.
Yeah. Oh my God. So much complexity. And we have custom meals too. So we have to build out customs. And then you have to remember the back of the house looks at things differently too. So you're like, oh my God, like, they don't care how many meals they make. They need to know how many pounds of chicken they make of this type. So we have an Excel sheet that converts all that stuff. So it's, I think we really have this down to a point where we're just not like those like smaller companies where like kind of cash in at the end of the month, you kind of count the cash or whatever. We're really good at identifying like kind of the pinch points, whether it's labor, food cost, marketing spend. Are we losing or more? Are we acquiring more customers? Are we converting more lapsed customers coming in? So we're really kind of looking for a more bird's eye view on things, because even me, who is a really great salesman, like I can't generate sales as fast as if I run a sale for my storefront. That generates revenue 4x with one text message, through one email blast. So I was like, okay, so we do need to do more integrated campaigns and stuff like that. It's not just like a one-man show where you can handle everything over your back. And one person can't make 3,000 meals a day.
It's tough as much as you'd like to. One of the toughest parts I've found in life is delegating duties away from you that you've grown so comfortable doing for such a long time, even, because you went through the time to learn it and to craft it and master it. And so it's like a part of you. But then once you ask somebody else to do it, it gives you time back to give yourself creative flexibility, which is really important. But
it does.
It's just really tough because there's that nostalgic vibe to it.
There's this nostalgic vibe, and I feel like there's almost this like invisible expectation, but you have to really give realistic expectations. I even told my director, I was like, you guys should be working 5 days a week, not 6 and 7, because they're obviously a direct reflection of us, but we're the owners. And moving forward, like I can't have this like incredibly rigorous workload, because the reward isn't going to be there the further down you go. So you have to almost template it into specific duties in order to kind of achieve the same goal. That makes sense.
Yeah, 100% makes it. There's another thing I wanted to ask you about too. I know your name's obviously FoodieFit, and you've gone through your own fitness venture, I guess, trial journey over the last, I guess it's 6 months to a year. I've seen a bunch of pictures.
It was 6 months, but there was I think 2 month. There was a 2 month break because of the shutdown, and I got a puppy, so that just went down the shitter. So
and Michael Sheedy's your trainer, correct? I had him on the show previously, and I've talked about how has he been as a trainer.
He's been awesome, man. He's a young kid, and he's super, super hungry, and he's just trying to, I feel blessed because I feel like he's like my annoying little brother sometimes, but at the same time, like he learns and absorbs everything. And I actually really don't mind teaching or, releasing secrets to people and stuff like that. It's just the fact of the matter is, like, are you here to talk or are you here to do? Mm-hmm. And Michael's more of a doer. And when we started this transformation, I told him, I was like, I can't go off of the meal plan that you're giving me, which is more plain proteins and stuff, because that's not my brand. Like I created this brand because I would get sick of it, and then I'd stop eating. I'd stop following your plan. I was like, let's extend the plan, because I do understand nutrition. I'll eat the signatures and then kind of show everybody else that like I've been through them. It's almost like my re-walk through of the customer journey of what's going on.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So then, I was at 16% body fat, and now I'm at 9. I just finished on Saturday and gorged. But to be honest with you, with this new diet, I haven't really been going crazy with like the cheat meals, because like that's what I think the trick with my food is that there is a little bit of dairy in some meals. Some meals are vegan. Some meals do have gluten in it. It's because I believe that unless you're absolutely going to wipe that out of your diet, your body, you still should ingest a little amounts of it, because let's say if you give up bread for an extended amount of time, your body's not really going to recognize that when you eat it again, or when you cheat, when you go on vacations. That's where they blow back up. So I wanted to have a very flexible diet, but the most important thing was to stay consistent. And what most people are doing is they're crash dieting, or they're finding the new fad, which I don't know what it is. So it went from, when I first started, it was paleo plus carbs, to keto. Now it's plant-based. And then, I'm hearing little things about like the Mediterranean diet and stuff like that. And as a business, I can't keep rolling with these diet trends. I'm more about health, and this is the best I've ever felt. And together with Michael, we've kind of created, kind of like a walking image of the product, because there was a point where I did start getting overweight again, because I was almost obsessive with my work. But one of our key mantras at work is like, happy is healthy. So I actually put it on my calendar to work out with him now. And like I even told you when we booked this podcast, I was like, I have to go work out with him at 1, because it's a continuous journey. And I wanted to prove to our customers, they're like, oh, well, you're already fit. And I was like, no, I was getting pretty soft at a certain time. But if I'm continuously eating the food and I'm working out with a quality workout with a set goal in mind, you can achieve whatever you want. It may not be as fast as you want, but I guarantee you, because I went through a 6-month process, my weight won't bounce back that fast, 100%. Because I've gone through so many consultations with clients, and the slower they go, the slower it bounces back.
For the clients that come in for consultations, what is the number one, I guess, like ask of them? Is it more so they come in to change their diet because
weight loss? Weight
loss is number one?
It really is weight loss. And, we try not to push it, because to me, it's like, I want you to live a healthy lifestyle at your pace. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be like, like a start date and an end date. The whole goal is for you to kind of change your whole habit completely. And hopefully we can be at a little part of it. Even if you want to cook your own breakfast, we'll still build out a meal plan for you, which is great. That was one thing I wanted to. It was like either you're all in with us or we're not. I was like, no, we're kind of like a supplement on top of what you're doing with your life, because sometimes it does take baby steps. Whether it's you found the workout of your dreams, whether it's like CrossFit, some people just fall in love with it, and that's what gets them to eat healthy. Or what if it's FoodieFit that gets them healthy because they're enjoying the food, they feel better, and then now they start working out. And then from that, they'll start eating more calories, their metabolism rate starts getting faster and stuff. So for me, is a lot of times is like, it's very doable, because I have a busy schedule as well. So that was kind of my proof to everyone, like kind of the proof in the pudding. Because a lot of times we were like, oh, like you gave me this plan and this and this and this. And I was like, are you actually following it? And did you go through the whole thing? And what we do end up finding out is that they do end up cheating. So I always tell my health coach and director of sales, I says, let people like Michael Sheedy be like the mean dad, the bad cop. We're the good cops, because if they did cheat, I'll just adjust their calories for next week and then put them on a little bit more of a deficit, if that makes sense. So.
That's cool. Yeah. So there's like a synonymous relationship between you guys and the fitness community.
Right.
And it's almost like a mindset conversion of food is for glutton to food is for fuel.
Right.
Almost. Sometimes it's hard to flip that mindset, because I was a bigger kid when I was younger too. And not until I started doing sports and seeing it more as the macro scale, the protein, the carbs, the fats. And then eventually once you get fit, you just become so interested in it, so evolved. That's why I went and studied kinesiology when I was younger.
Dude, because it's amazing once you start seeing the actual results. So there are some people who are really on the higher end of body fat, and if you do lose 10 pounds, will they see a difference? Yeah, on the scale, but you're not really going to see anything as far as exterior wise. But when you do start seeing the abs pop and your biceps start having striations and stuff, really becomes a high. But one thing I did want to really mention though was that I didn't want to get into like that competition shape, because most people don't want to be like that anyways. And I feel like if you get into that style shape, that's like your gold standard. And then you're gonna get a complex, and you're gonna chase that physique. You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't want to go through any of that dehydration stuff. I don't want to do anything. I want to just be normally fit. And if it means I can have a kind of a six pack, but I can maintain it all year, then so be it. So expectations were there, and Michael and I saw eye to eye on that. And from there, he kind of helped me shape my body a little bit more, but I didn't want to step on stage and just be, a walking vein.
Yeah, especially because, like you said, you're almost like a walking example of your business.
Right.
And so if you go into that fitness competition form, people will replicate that, or they replicate that with the ideals.
Yeah.
And see it's like, oh, that's the competition food brand,
right?
And not as much like for normal people or people who are working and striving to get into that fit shape.
And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of those companies were like, lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks, really bothers me. And for me is like, we want to be there with you together. And I think a lot of it is nutrition and good food. So if you're like amped and waiting to eat my food, that's a win. Because if you're not amped to eat it, you'll probably won't even finish the food. And it's already a low calorie meal. So then your next meal is probably going to be a cheat meal. I always tell people, I was like, if you go past 5 hours, unless you're intermittent fasting, you probably won't even want to eat my food because your body's just starving at that point. So if you can make it a point to just eat every 3-4 hours and eat a smaller meal, it's much more sustainable, and you feel better. You don't feel all cracked out, like not eating breakfast and just drinking coffee and stuff like that. You just feel better normally. And that was the most important thing. So I always tell some of my customers, like, would you rather lose 10 pounds and feel like shit, or would you rather lose 2 pounds and feel great about yourself?
Yeah, I feel like you just attacked me. I'm the intermittent fasting guy.
Oh yeah.
I had coffee this morning. I do it more so for a performance. I feel like I perform a little bit better on the mic, and I feel like my cognition's a little bit more clear.
And I'm 100% okay with it, but you actually have a goal, if that makes sense, as opposed to some people, they just forget to eat.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no timing. They're really just like, I eat whenever I can. You actually have an intermittent fasting time where you stop and you eat. And that will also show results as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But for most people, it's kind of like a good example would be like a lawyer or something like that. If he goes to court, and then after court, then he has paperwork to do, and then all of a sudden like he has a little bit of a break. For me, is like to be able to eat a little bit every 3 hours would be great. Or unless you was it like you have like 3 hours to eat the rest of your food.
Yep.
I mean, it's whatever works for that person, really. So, and I was always thinking about like bartenders too. I was like, yeah, for bartenders or people who work service industry, intermittent fasting wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Yeah. Also, too, when you're working in the service industry and lawyer and some of these other ones, your break isn't an hour like a lot of these union jobs. It's literally 15 minutes because you're leaving money on the table. Just as like a lawyer, you'd be leaving cases and money on the table. If you're a bartender, busser, server, you go downstairs and your client leaves. That's all your money right there.
100%, man. So I just try to make things as convenient as possible. So whether you want to eat it, all 3 meals within the next 3 hours, it's really up to you. So I kind of leave the lifestyle up to you guys, unless you guys want to give me. We just had DM a couple of days ago, like, how do I lose weight? So we'll put you on a program, but I will never, ever cross toes with somebody who believes in intermittent fasting or Michael Sheedy's plan. So Michael Sheedy's plan is his plan, but with my food. And then I would ask him for approval. I was like, can we separate this and this? For example, if he wanted me to eat like 99.1 turkey and I have 93.7 turkey. And as long as he knows, he's like, yeah, I'm cool because you understand what you're doing. So I time it out, and it works great for me at least because I at least have like a desk job now. I'm not stuck behind a bar well where like I have to like bend over and like take a bite of protein bar, stand back up, wipe my mouth or something like that. I can kind of eat whenever I want. I just work longer hours. So
I like that partnership with the fitness community. It's so prevalent, such a growing industry out here that
I think so too.
As more people come out here, it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And so outside of the fitness community, do you guys have any other partners within the city?
Yeah, we work with a lot with Richard Harris Law Firm. They've been really great with us. Honestly, they help us. They do a lot of sponsors. They sponsor our vans for exposure. They do our ice packs. They were part of a charity, but unfortunately budgets were cut. But I do want them to be part with us next year. Raw Fitness. My boy Justin is he's built something really special in the fitness industry, and he's really hit a real niche. And if I were to say that there's anyone that's really dominating a category in the kind of like the boutique fitness space, it would be him. He really killed it. And then I work with a lot of the food bloggers. I'm really good friends with Drew from Unlocked. Him and I talk all the time, and he's kind of a self-made entrepreneur as well. Mm-hmm. And really just keeping in the fitness industry category is what I like to be surrounded by, because that was my interest, right? Because for me, it was when I worked at Omnia, I was like, I really wish I can just go work out, but I have to work a banquet into this, and then I'm going out of town. That's just how we used to roll. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So now it's like there should be no excuse. I'm always surrounded by healthy food, and then now I put in my calendar to go work out, because I feel like that should be a part of the company values, is to also exercise and be healthy. So
yeah, you have to immerse yourself with it. It's
100%.
It's really tough at times.
It's really tough at times, and you have to always you have to understand the consumer of what they're going through, because everyone has a lot of times it's the same problem. It's just a different scenario, right? So then I always like to teach them, like, okay, cool. Then if you can't, set an alarm on your phone every 3 hours or 4 hours. If you want to do intermittent fasting, you should do the same thing. You have to set an alarm, and you can't go past your fast typically. You want to eat within that window, or else then you're going to lose sleep, because you're like, damn, I actually didn't fast at 14, but I have to be in bed and this and that, so you're going to lose sleep. Sleep is important, exercise is important, and most importantly, food is important.
Yeah, it's that pyramid that
it really
often gets overlooked. With everything is really a balance in life. Sometimes it's hard, especially like in Vegas, where you can just be dragged out at any given moment and basically just shatter that entire pyramid.
Yeah, I almost think that going into our fourth year of business, it's really going back down to simplifying now, like going back to back to the basics of things, because I'm able to look at things from a bird's eye perspective, and kind of fix little things, and really dig in and investigate. One thing I have learned from just my business partners, and as well as just personal experience, really is that you're there as a leader to solve a problem, and not to band-aid anything. And I feel like a lot of leaders are band-aiding and not fixing the solution of the whole systemic problem of the job description, if that makes sense. So I'm really diving in on their workload, like what is your A to B to C to D, and re-identifying and seeing if we can simplify it. Is this too much work? Are you enjoying it? Because I think if you enjoy the process, the results are just going to be a plus, right? But if you're just there, for example, if we're doing marketing, if you're just wasting away and you hate editing, and you're doing it just so you can get a bunch of likes, like, what's the point? So then maybe we can outsource that part, and then you can do something that you really like, which is the photography side or something like that. So I really want to identify everyone's really, really strong suits, and really push them that way. And now with technology, there's a lot of collaboration tools, and a lot of ways to hold people accountable, and just really getting organized, and kind of getting everybody who is working in different positions to align with the same goals that we have as a whole.
So yeah, I like that. It's that theme again, the pattern recognition.
Yeah.
You're aware of it, and this systemic duct tape, I think, is what has plagued the United States in general. Between you see like what's happening now with COVID, and the printing of money, and like these small fixes, but the system continues to bloat, and so you're aware of that. If you don't fix it outright, that it will blow and eventually burst.
Right. It'll burst. And, I think the whole COVID and, the whole BLM thing really helped me identify that, because, so much as a simple conversation can bring out a lot in somebody, because sometimes they don't know where their anger is coming from. And the easiest thing to blame it on is work. So if I give you guys a great work environment, and working towards a common goal together to make Vegas healthy again, whatever it is, I don't think they'd be blaming us as much. But it's an easy way to, I got called in to work early now. That's why I couldn't pay the bill a little while. So I was like, so it all stemmed from work, because you had a whole month to pay your bill.
It's true. Yeah, that's I like the environment that you've built. Through this entire conversation, I can feel the passion through the other mic and even through the social media accounts. And one thing we didn't touch on before we get out of here is, through this whole time, I see you as like a very magnanimous type guy. You're very generous with your time. You're very generous with your ideas. I know that you guys like to be generous as a company, and we touched on the charity, the charitable work briefly. Can you touch a little bit more into that? Because I know you guys do some sort of annual donation, correct?
Yeah, so we have a thing called Prep for School that I've created. When I first wanted to start a charity, I reached out to a lot of large companies and realized how much they were taking per dollar. And I'm like, I'm just trying to help one school. And with this year, literally Clark County just announced probably 2 weeks ago that all the Title I schools are going to be going completely virtual. So I talked to my friend who I grew up with. So I've known him since I was 6 years old, and he has a very small charity that he runs, and he's been helping me since day one, and he's not even taking a paycheck this year. So if you think I'm a hero, I think Zach Lopez from the Hans Schneider Foundation is my hero, because he already doesn't make a lot of money, being working for a nonprofit, but he called me, I think, a month ago and was like, the kids still need supplies. They won't need backpacks, but we can sub books. And, you created something really special that everybody else talks about it, but doesn't do. So I'm here to help you out, like whatever you need. I'm not taking any money. I don't need any money. So I offered a $1,000 in-kind donation to his charity for his help, because you get a write-off when you donate. And my goal was to do a GoFundMe, and it worked. Not gonna lie, I was like, what the? I was like, well, man, and Zach actually talked to Bianca and Larry from the principal and their like main behavioral counselor, and they were just like, someone's looking after you, because we just did all this in 3 weeks. So we're actually passing it out on Thursday, because that's when they get a curriculum, and we're gonna be doing like a contactless pass out. So they get 2 books. A meal prep container that's going to contain either pencils and or markers, and then they'll also get 2 books, a notebook, a folder, and pencil sharpener and eraser.
What school is this?
Robert E. Lake.
It's a school that's definitely in need.
Yes, definitely in need. And then next year, because we're bringing Raw Fitness on as a partner this year, we're going to be doing Justin's elementary school, Matt Kelly, because it's actually only about 350 kids as opposed to 800. So it wouldn't be too outrageous for us to raise it for next year. But I hope, there's going to be, with a year break, a lot of the business will be back to normal. But I think giving back to the community was huge. I mean, I think the one thing that really kind of got us on everyone's radar when I went to restaurants was what we did for October 1st. In October 1st, we shut down our kitchen for a week, and we were just cooking for, I think, 12,000 meals for the whole city. Like everyone in hospitals, like all these industry people were hitting me up. It's like, I don't know what to do. I was there on Sunday. What do you want me to do? I was like, just come in and cook. Like they almost felt helpless. And from there, I feel like a lot of people look to me and FoodieFit as like a trusted way to give money and to know that we do care, as opposed to, I'm giving to the Wounded Warrior Project or some of these larger companies where, they have a staff of 300-400 people. Like if you look at my office right now, it's like a shit show. There's pencils, papers everywhere. And I think the worst part is right now, what sucks is that I can't get a group of volunteers. I have to do shifts. It's like 2 and 2 and 2. So I spent all weekend rubber banding markers and crayons and stuff, just because I couldn't even afford to get the color boxes. So I had to get the box, and then I had to grab each crayon and wrap it up in a rubber band and stuff. But it is what it is. I mean, I think with anything, there's a lot of bad things that happened during COVID in 2020. Just, we obviously COVID happened, business dropped, our loan almost got canceled. But I think with everything else, what I thought for myself was that the children shouldn't suffer for this, and they need to continue their education. and I had the capability of doing it because I was going to, well, we are still personally guaranteeing that money anyways. I just didn't, we had up to $8,000 to guarantee up to, and we actually hit our goal. So everything's just going to roll over till next year because, you know, I want this to be like a yearly thing, and I want people to participate because I think giving back is not something you can describe. It's something you need to be a part of and feel, because once you do it, it's magical.
Yeah, it's a very selfless act, and you know, it's very noble of you.
Thank you.
I know you didn't mention the number, but when I looked, it was around 17,000.
Was it
that you guys raised? Yeah, I checked right before. I checked right before this interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
So,
that's great. You know, honestly, Drew Belcher unlocked, Michael Sheedy Fitness, and Justin Blum. They probably accounted for about 40% of it, and the rest of it was just from people in Vegas. And like, it kind of put a little tear in my eye because it shows, like, you know, people care about our cause, right? You know, it's not just another Tom's Shoes or whatever. Like, local people care, and I think they know that we're here to do good, and we're not just, it's not just some other like where is this money going? I'm like, you're looking at it, like, you see the school supplies, and it's going directly to the charity. Like, it doesn't even pass through my business, because my business is my business, and I think the charitable aspect is to really grow these kids, because these kids are the future, right? I mean, you want, hopefully, this economy to continue to grow and be better than it was this year, last year, next year, and stuff like that.
You guys are the real heroes of Vegas.
I really appreciate that, man. But, you know, I've never always wanted to be like that, the guy in the forefront and stuff like that. But I'm more of a doer as opposed to like a social media complainer. So I've always been thought, I was like, okay, well, you do that. I was like, well, everyone's arguing between the black square and this and that. I'm going to go help my school, because that was the biggest problem. Like, I was just like kind of texting. I was like, hey, how's business, to all my sponsors? Like, terrible. I was like, damn, there goes 10,000 right there. So then I've already been kind of earmarking it. And then I was like, let's just launch it all together, and then just text your friends, because we taken care of a lot of industry people. Like, I can't tell you how many 50% discounts that we took for people for the industry, just so they can, you know, kind of just get things by. Everyone's going through tough times right now. Like, I don't really want to make money off anything right now, to be honest with you. Like, the growth from the Inc. 500 was from last year. This year was really trying to survive. And if you're trying to get healthy and you have a budget and you can't afford whatever, like, I'll take care of you. Like no questions asked. Like, I know it'll all come back.
Yes, that it will.
Yeah.
Buy FoodieFit, guys. You guys are a good fit. Before we get out of here, I always ask 2 questions, same questions to everybody. First question is, the year is 2030. What does the ecosystem of FoodieFit look like?
Year 2030, I would think that year 2030, we'd probably be in another state, and then we would probably have some kind of we would have definitely more storefronts, and possibly my hopes is to do some more like shelf stable stuff. Like, you'll see like that Panda Express, like the Taco Bell sauce. That's something that I've been kind of looking into, you know, in the far future.
I like that. I like that projection. And last question is, what does Las Vegas mean to you?
I think Las Vegas means everything. Las Vegas has created an opportunity for me, you know, to start a business at a reasonable budget, and everyone's been really awesome. I mean, I think the power of networking here is stronger than anywhere else in this country, and to be able to be a hop, skip, and a jump away from a lot of celebrities. And even like all the industry people, like every industry person, you know, cocktail server has 15, 20,000 followers. And that's what really helped me jumpstart it. It wasn't that they were spending a lot of money with me. It was their reach. So if I was getting a lot of frequency through it, because any Omnia server, I still remember right before I was leaving, when I was working at the service, well, I was like, let me get your number, let me get your Instagram. So I wrote it all down, sent them all food. And that's kind of how it really started. And then you build your core clients from there, and you grow from your clients, and then you understand those clientele from there.
Wow, I love that. Yep, the industry is one of the closest industries out here in Vegas. You know,
it really
a little tough to break through, but once you're in there, everyone is so giving and caring.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you know, I think the reason why is because everyone here is almost like a gypsy, right? Like, there's very few locals that I know that are born and raised in Vegas. Actually, the top 3 donations is Drew, Justin, Michael, we're all native raised Vegas, but everyone else here doesn't have family here. So I feel like your friends are your family, or your work peers are your family. So I mean, that's kind of like the way I thought about it, because, you know, everywhere else is like, you know, you have your own family here. They're almost starting their own family here, so it's exponentially growing. So
yeah, it's a common answer. And how can everyone get connected with you and FoodieFit?
You can always get on Instagram, FoodieFit Meal Prep, at FoodieFit Meal Prep. That's, you know, our Instagram is actually probably our main social media platform.
It's popping, guys.
It's popping. Or you can just stop by the storefront. You know, we have 2 storefronts, one in Green Valley, one in Summerlin, or just go ahead and order online at www.foodiefitmeals.com.
Thank you, Alex, for this. Also, thank you for the meals.
Oh, for sure, man.
I'm excited for them.
Yeah, let me know how you think. You're probably gonna eat 2 or 3 of them during this 3-hour window, right?
I mean, if a few of my coworkers have been day one supplying you with cash, I know it's I know it's been tested.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, for sure.
I love this conversation. You're definitely somebody who, you know, I look up to and aspire to be and mimic in my own field. You know, you're very charitable, and you have that pattern recognition skill, which I strive to have. So thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.